The next step in solving radicals are radical operations. We're going to add, subtract, and multiply radicals. In order to add or subtract a radical, the radicand, which is the number underneath the radical, has to be the exact same number for them to be like terms. So you can only add the square root of 3 with a square root of 3. Like if I have a square root of 3 and a square root of 5, those two are not like terms. It's like having an x and a y. You can't combine them together. And then to add or subtract the radicals, you add or subtract the numbers on the outside, the coefficients together. The number underneath the radical does not change. It stays the same the entire time. So for example 1, we are adding radicals. First thing you need to check, are the numbers underneath the radical the same? So I have the square root of 7 and the square root of 7, so they are the same, so that means I can add them together. And then to add them together, you're going to add your outside numbers together. 4 plus 9 would give me 13. And then you just leave the square root of 7 alone. You don't change it. It does not become 14. It's just like when you add x's together. You treat the square root of 7 like it was an x. Now the second problem looks like we have square root of 8 and square root of 32. It looks like they're definitely not the same number, but we can reduce them. If I do a factor tree on 8, I would get 4 and 2, and then 2 and 2 and 2. Pair of 2's go on the outside. I already have a 5 on the outside, so 5 times 2 gives me 10. Left over I have this 2, so I have a 2 on the inside. Then I needed to break down 32. 32 would be 16 and 2. 16 breaks down to 4 and 4 and 2. Pair of 4's go on the outside. My 2 left over stays underneath. Now, if I look at these two radicals, they both have the same number underneath now. They're both the square root of 2. So I can subtract these radicals. I can do my 10 minus 4 to give me 6, and then leave the square root of 2 alone. So you want to make sure you simplify completely before you give up on the problem. See if you can break down the radicals first to get the same radicand underneath the radical sign. To multiply radicals, you can multiply any radical together. There's 3 steps. First one's you multiply the coefficients together, the two numbers on the outside. And then you multiply the radicands together, the two numbers on the inside. After you've multiplied both the outside numbers together and then the inside numbers together, we need to simplify the radical or use the factor tree. So for example 3, 5 rad 10 times 3 rad 11. I want to do 5 times 3 to give me 15. Then I want to do 10 times 11 to give me 110. If we do our factor tree, it would become 10 and 11. 10 breaks down to 5 and 2. 11 breaks down to, doesn't break down, so it's 11. So you notice here we don't have any pairs, so our answer is just going to stay 15 radical 110. For the second one, we can multiply our outside together. 2 times 6 is 12. Then we can multiply our insides together. 5 times 2 is 10. Now if we did a factor tree on 10, we would get 5 and 2. Once again, no pairs, so just leave it as 12 rad 10. So when you're adding or subtracting radicals, keep the number on the inside has to be the same. Add the number on the outside together, leave the inside number the same. When you're multiplying, multiply your numbers on the outside together, multiply numbers on your inside together, and then simplify your radical if possible.